Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting edition of the Liquid Weekly Podcast. It is I, your esteemed host, Karl Meisterheim, and with me, as always, is my wonderful friend and co-host Taylor Page. Taylor, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
I think we're both are we both a little bit sad that the Ohio weather has taken another cold snap turn. We had sun and we had nice warm weather for a little bit, and it's getting chilly again. So
we had May and April, now we have April and May. So what can you do?
So sad, but you know, rays of sunshine abound from the survey results. Lots of nice things to be said. I don't know. I'm sorry if you had a good segue. That was.
He's trying, folks. He's trying. No, it's a good thing you bring up. So today, we are going to talk about the official Liquid Weekly Shopify developer survey that we sent out via newsletter and Slack and Twitter, twits
everywhere,
and everywhere. A couple weeks ago,
fill out.
Got a bunch of responses, and it's very interesting. Very excited that people took the time to share with us who they are and what they're doing, what they're focused on, because it not only helps us know how we can orient the stuff we're producing, because we like to talk, but we don't do this just to waste our time. We like to think that it's helping. But also, it gives some insight for all of us as a developer community about the challenges we're facing, the different things we're interested in learning more about. So we're excited to kind of talk through those results together today and share that with you, our dear listener, potentially listeners at some point. And we'll see where that goes.
Perhaps first-time listener since...
Perhaps.
I'm maybe jumping around. Did you have that in here? There was like a good chunk of newsletter folks that were like, there's a podcast?
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah. So they're like, okay. So maybe do the surveys more often because people will find out that there's a podcast. So the newsletter needs more interaction. Is that what it is? We need more interactive elements there.
Yeah, well, you're getting ahead of ourselves now, but yeah, there's something to miss there because I have consistently put a banner at the bottom of the newsletter about the podcast.
I thought so too.
And
sometimes at the top too. Like, hello, this is what we talked about.
Whenever there's a new episode, I put it in there too. So I moved the banner to the top. We'll see if that makes a difference.
Yeah, well, I know. Yeah, you've done some snippets like where it's at the very top, like, hey, this is what, we talked about on the podcast or whatever. So I don't know, people just kind of like glazed over that, and they get to the good stuff. I don't know, as developers, we've talked about this a lot too. I think so many of us are solution focused. Like we're skimming for keywords here of like we're really good at filtering stuff out. So we're skimming for like, what was I working in this week? And does the newsletter have something for me of what I was working on this week? And maybe that's more so what they're paying attention to. Oh my gosh. I don't know if you can hear that. Apparently the robot vacuum is running at the moment and it just rammed into the door. So that's kind of great timing.
Okay. Taylor's being taken over by robots as we speak. Well, we'll try to get through this podcast before the apocalypse consumes your household, but it was nice knowing you, Taylor. I hope your floors are clean in the other world.
Inevitable.
Yeah, so let's just jump right in if you're cool with that.
Let's do it.
No segue there. So what we set out to do, obviously I was interested in understanding how our content is interacting with folks because, again, it's hard to know without feedback, and I'm not a marketing guy, so I don't have the intuition. I need data. So that was one of the motivations, but the other one was just to kind of get a sense of the community as a whole, portrait kind of where people are at and things like that. And I feel like we accomplished that. And I'll just mention, first, of the responses we got, we had quite a different category of people. Everyone from freelancers to agency devs to app developers, people on the brand side, and one merchant, I thought this was funny, they just mentioned they were just trying to keep up with what my devs are doing. So folks that aren't necessarily even developer-centric, but want to be in that world and kind of have some understanding of what's going on.
Well, we've talked about that too, a little bit at least, as far as some of the listeners. I've had someone on a call before that, like on a discovery call kind of type thing. They're like, oh yeah, we've seen the podcast. And so I was like, oh gosh.
Did you get their name down? That was the one.
That was probably it.
We're going to send them the gift basket.
No, there's two now. There's got to be two. Yeah. I know it wasn't this guy.
Maybe we should put together a new subscriber gift basket. It could be all of my pick of the week snack choices.
We
There's no
Doesn't
basket
get
big enough.
expensive, Carl. You like the good snacks, man. Like those protein crisps. Every time I see them when I'm walking by at Sam's Club, I'm like, "Ooh, buddy!" Like I'm gonna take a picture to send to Carl.
Oh man, they had a coupon at Kroger this week. 25% off if you ordered it via pickup. They're trying to get people to do more pickup and delivery stuff with Kroger. So
Nice.
I stocked up.
I like the pickup option. So, speaking of pickup, what do we need to pick up here in the survey results? Over 80 respondents. That was pretty good. You have such a better mindset on this. I was really expecting more. I was expecting over 100 people to respond. So, but 80 responses is probably really actually pretty good. So
we're up to 83 now.
Awesome. 83. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to expect, to be honest. 80 is great. I think the most meaningful thing was, do we get enough folks to actually have some statistical significance in terms of what we're seeing? And I feel like 80 is probably in that threshold. So
yeah, it's a pretty solid number, and I don't know. I think it would be cool too. This got me thinking, since we did have like a decent amount of respondents. I don't know if you've seen like the state of JS like surveys and stuff like that, or wherever that goes out. Like I feel like you could do that. I feel like you could roll that out and then publish that too as like a state of the Shopify dev, ecosystem or whatever. So
yeah,
obviously somebody can come up with a better name than that. That was what I had rolling off my head. Again, we're not marketers, so
clearly. That is an interesting thought, though. I enjoy surveys and I enjoy understanding sort of the anonymous masses that we're interacting with. But I also feel like there's, I don't know if it's leadership capital or something. I feel like every time you make that ask, you spend something in terms of your engagement with your audience and the free will, the goodwill they have for you. And so I'm always hesitant to do that because I don't want to be that guy that like every week is asking you to fill out a survey. But if people find this helpful, and if the way that we share this information is of value to other folks, then I could see us doing this on a more regular basis. But not every week. But
yeah, no. So the ones that I've seen, it's like a big annual survey, right? Like they have like once a year or something like that. I don't know though. It's wild, and JavaScript is kind of wild too in that sense, right? Of like once a year. I mean, frameworks and everything turn over so fast.
Like once a generation. Yeah.
You probably could, or So yeah, I don't know if we'd have to up the cadence to like maybe once or maybe twice a year, because we get 2 editions drops every year, right? Like big editions drops or whatever. So maybe we do those right around that time or something like that.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
We'll see what the future holds, because we're listening, dear listener, to your feedback. So, if you think that's a cool idea, leave a comment, send a tweet, reach out to us in person. We'll take that in community. So let's talk about the community, speaking of the community, and how it kind of broke down. Do you want to talk through this? You want me to lead it?
I mean, you can lead it. You're the numbers guy. You've got all these like, Karl, which like, well done. You have all these like beautiful, nice notes and the outline and everything. I mean, I created the outline just to like throw my changelog links in there. That was pretty much it. You've got this all like prettified and stuff or whatever. So well done, sir. It looks very nice.
Thank you. I take all the credit for it.
Oh, I know.
the vacuum knows. So I'll try to. For those watching, I'll try to throw some graphs in when I edit. But for those listening, we'll just talk percentages. So who was the community? That was one of the first questions that we asked, was just kind of getting a breakdown in terms of the role and where you are and what you're doing. And so it was dominated primarily by freelancers, which I think we expected. 30% of the people that wrote in were freelancers. The next was agency devs, which was 23%. And then app devs at 15%. And then in-house was 14%. And then the miscellaneous others were 19%. So pretty much, a third freelance, a third agency, and then some app and in-house stuff.
I thought my expectation was actually app dev would be the biggest category here.
Really?
Yep, I did.
Well, and I guess maybe part of that was the question. Like, you could be an app dev and be freelance.
That's true.
So maybe I just need to think about that for the future wording. So, but
you're just thinking about like whatever it is, 18 million apps in the App Store now at this point or whatever, just like sheer numbers, at this point of, how many people. So, but that's a good point. There's a lot of app devs that also wear other hats, or maybe it's not their primary thing, or, so people probably just um, put down an answer based on what they identify with the most. So,
And here's
yeah.
partly why I say that, because if you look at the other question, which was what are people's primary development focus,
Mm-hmm.
the overwhelming majority, 80%, said theme and storefront.
Yeah.
But the next highest one is 65%, because this was a multiple choice one, so the
Right.
percentages won't add up, was custom app development.
Mm-hmm.
So a big chunk of the folks that responded are doing some form of app development. And then what I found surprising was how few were doing public apps. In fact, only one person specifically called out they're working on public apps. So
yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I don't think I saw that part in there. Only one from the public app dev side.
I also saw there were very few people that went down with the headless, which I'm actually surprised you saw any do headless, because it seems like it's kind of dropped off the charts.
Good. This is the Liquid Weekly podcast, okay? You headless guys going and
just the little bit of lore here for those of you who don't know. It's called Liquid Weekly because when I was coming up with a name, the only thing I knew was not to use the word Shopify. Although some people seem to have gotten away with it, so I don't know. I don't know where the boundaries are, but I thought, Liquid's pretty much synonymous.
Hey, you got Toby on the podcast.
Yeah.
He was at least appreciative of like, hey, you included Liquid in here. So
well, I think maybe he was expecting we were hardcore Liquid developers, and I was like,
it was the long play. It worked. Yeah. We are hardcore Liquid developers, Karl.
Yeah, I don't write Liquid that often. So I think all that to say, like, even though freelancers was the biggest demographic, I think a lot of folks are engaged in theme and app development. That seems like that's the takeaway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Although, and this is kind of apropos to what you've been doing in your work life, a pretty large number, almost half, also identified doing a lot of store setup, configuration, and migration sort of work too.
Yeah. Which makes sense. That there's a lot of that. Like there's so much crossover, right? If you're working in themes or whatever, if you're doing a build but I mean this probably also speaks to as well, like the makeup, like agencies being a big number of that along with freelancers. That's, builds and migrations or whatever is kind of the bread and butter of that field too. So, yeah, let me fill something in here with you're taking a well-timed drink there.
Thank you. So where are people from?
I was just gonna get into that. Look at
Were you? Because you're making fun of me, so I just potted.
Bam.
Okay.
I mean, I had to take the opportunity.
Yes.
Was that Jordan that was on? You took a drink right at the same time that we were starting, and you're like, no. Anyways, Jordan's awesome. So yeah, like not majority U.S. So again, surprising to me.
Yeah. That was surprising in terms of the sheer numbers. Like if you look at the breakdown, like it did seem like kind of what you would expect, where there was a fair bit of folks from the U.S.
Yeah.
But then if you look at the totality of everything else, it was 36% from the U.S. and then everything else was outside the U.S.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised. I would expect a little bit of a bigger presence from Canada, to be honest. So we were 36% U.S., 12% Canadian, 20% Western Europe, 13% UK. Those are the big four.
Mm-hmm.
And then not to diminish anyone else and their countries of origin, but the rest kind of were folded into that last 25%. West, Latin America, Middle East, Eastern Europe, Africa, all that kind of stuff.
Well, hey, if they wanted more people, they had to bring more people on to respond. So they could have flooded the survey with results, So, but that's So if you do break it down that way, I guess over a third. I guess I figured probably like half of our listeners, which is not. I mean, obviously, again, like this is not like listeners. It's also like listeners and also podcast subscribers or newsletter subscribers. I'm sorry, and so I would assume like 50%, but yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's hard to say with that data. Like, does that mean if you're trying to think of the reality of Shopify developers across the board, that's an accurate picture, or is it simply people that we reach in terms of our channels? Because I feel like a lot of stuff I see on LinkedIn and other places around Shopify content tends to come more from the Middle East and India, and those weren't as highly represented as I would have expected. But maybe that's just the algorithm messing with me too. So I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. It could be just like, yeah, not interacting with the content there. Not really sure. Like maybe folks are just not really interested in providing surveys there. But I do agree if you're on socials, you do see a lot of engagement there, or at least you get a lot of DMs and stuff for anything
Yeah.
related to can you hire me to work on your whatever kind of type thing. So and again, not to say that that's all that there is, but there is a lot of that, and statistically what there's just lots of numbers in there in general. So I just figured the markup, yeah, would make more people responding to that stuff. So, but they might just be interested in other things. Who knows?
Yeah. Maybe. I did get a couple friend requests on LinkedIn recently that I foolishly accepted, it only to immediately get spammed with, I've been doing Shopify development for 30 years and want to help you with your project kind of stuff. It's like, okay.
Yeah,
Thought
I
we were going to be
mean,
friends.
right, and that's why it's tough because there are some really cool people from places like that, right, or whatever, like where we are talking about, and that's just unfortunate. Like it's again, like I don't know if it's the numbers game or whatever kind of type thing. So I always am like, oh yeah, sure, hey, what's up? And when the first message is like, hire me or outsource to me or whatever, I just block them and move on. I don't even try to engage anymore. Like I used to try to take the time because I thought it was helpful to be like, oh hey, like by the way,
Yeah.
this is not how you pitch work. Like you should like talk to somebody about this or whatever, be a real person or whatever. But that's not what's happening. It's just cold email, but in socials. And so when that happens, I just, you're gone. But there's still a lot of other cool people that are just
Yeah.
like, hey, I just want to talk Shopify dev. And I'm like, awesome. That's great. So do I.
What other interesting thing that came out of that too was we asked about people and .dev. And I wish I would have made this question a little bit different because we basically asked, are you going?
Yeah.
Or are you not going but want to go? But I didn't ask why they couldn't go. So anyway,
That could be our follow-up. Maybe we've got some opportunities there. Maybe we should do some more stuff around .dev. Because did you see? I mean, this literally just happened this morning. Obviously, for everyone else, it will have been a couple of weeks. But .dev just sold out this morning when we're recording.
I did see that, and I'm lucky because I just bought my ticket a couple days ago. So,
oh man, you missed out on the SDA discount then too, huh?
Well, I thought I had, but it worked.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, right? Liam. You're the man.
Thank you, Liam, for not putting the end date on that discount. Yes.
Now they're gonna go back and find it because they're like, it had to be by. Well, you might have made the cutoff if it was. I can't remember what date it was. There was a specific date.
It was
anyways.
After the cutoff.
Anyways, that doesn't matter.
No.
So yeah, there's a lot of people not going to .dev.
Yes, of the people that responded, about a quarter are, half aren't.
Mm-hmm.
And the half that, more than half aren't. 75% aren't. But of that, sorry, this is a terrible way to present this. Okay, I'm going to start.
Well, I was going to say, like, of that chunk of the people that aren't going, there's a lot of people that wanted to go.
Yes.
That aren't going to get to go. And you were about to drop that number.
Yes, of the 2/3, of the people that aren't going,
I had you set up. You just backtracked again.
2/3 of those wanted to go. 1/3 of those don't care to go. Which I'm kind of straddling that line. I'm going, but I also am not a big world traveler, as you know. And I know it's only a 6-hour drive for us, but it feels like traveling.
Oh, well, so, and this might just be me being like from a totally different field or whatever. I think .dev is awesome. The past couple of years where it's been additions.dev, this year it's been branded to just .dev because Shopify heard everybody saying like, this is kind of confusing that there's an additions and then there's an additions.dev and then you're trying to link to it on socials and it does a whole thing. Anyways, so it's .dev, right? And the past 2 years have been awesome. This year it's 2 days, 2 full days, which is really even better, right? And I think it's more about like just being able to like hang out with like other developers and talk to people. So we get that like online in different spaces, but actually being physically there in person. I mean, the talks and everything are great. Don't get me wrong. It's really great when you get a chance to actually talk to like a product lead and like get some insights into stuff that's going on or whatever. Yes. We're trying to figure out, some real specific things. But it's just great to be like with people that are also in this space, struggling with the same things you are, or have already figured out some of the things you're struggling with. And they are very cool with just telling you, this is how you fix this or whatever. So But I do get that. It's a big disruption to the schedule and everything else. So I understand that part.
Hey, Shopify app developers, this one's for you. When's the last time you took a real break? You know, the kind where you're not constantly checking your support tickets on your phone every few minutes? Well, there's a team that's making that possible. The Support Heroes. Since 2020, they've helped over 100 Shopify Plus apps across 40 developers, earning their reputation as the leading outsourced customer support service for Shopify apps. Their team works 24/7, 365 days a year to deliver real empathy and real expertise. And they do this so developers can focus on building, growing, or honestly just getting some well-deserved rest. If you feel already stretched thin or tied up in support queries, this is the perfect moment to plan ahead. Let the Support Heroes take support off your plate while you focus on taking your project to the next level. Was it just one day last year?
Past 2 years, yeah, it's only been one day.
I've been to so many, Taylor. It all blends together.
Really? Have
but-
you? You've been to
So I mean
many?
that definitely makes it more challenging. Although I suppose for folks that are traveling a long way, it's probably for the best because why come from another continent if you're only going to be there for a day? You know.
Yeah.
So-
Well, I do know like visa, like that's something we really don't have to. That whole visa process or whatever is not something we have to deal with coming from the States up
Yet.
to Canada or whatever. And that's a big hindrance for a lot of people. There's a lot of people even that I know. I just found out about someone, an STA who was able to go like the last couple of years that got rejected, like just
Wow.
for no reason other than who knows what that's about. So that part's really tough, and we just either drive or fly across the border and show the passport and call it a day. Like nobody says anything about it. So that part's really tough, I think, for people that there's a whole process involved with that, and that's just an unfortunate part of our lives. But it's probably part of it. Like it's kind of like going to the DMV or whatever. Like nobody wants to do that, or whatever. So
Speaking of driving to editions or .dev, I call shotgun.
Shotgun. Okay, you can have shotgun.
Just kidding.
Do you get car sick?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not usually.
I say I don't get car sick either, so I never end up like carrying. I actually haven't nailed down if it's me or Dylan driving yet. So that's right. We're all road tripping with Dylan. So if you're in the Ohio area and you're going up to .dev, that's where we're going. So
we gotta take either your or my car though, right? Because Dylan's not coming back with us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
yeah.
There you go. Well, that's neither here nor there for the podcast.
Neither
I
here
will
nor
say, I was going to share the story.
Nobody wants to hear our planning scheduling, Karl. We got that already as well. I won't jump ahead. I'll try
Some
not
people
to.
want to know about my travel neuroses. I think they would enjoy this descent into madness as I examine.
That's where we're going right. So as far as .dev, like I said, I am really surprised that there's like so many people not going that responded.
Yeah.
And I'm even more surprised that there were so many people that said, I guess those two, it would have been really nice, if we would have had that, hindsight being 2020. So maybe we'll do another survey, not immediately because Karl's worried about too many surveys. But if you're not going to .dev, interesting to hear. So maybe you can comment too why you're not going, but you do want to go. Like, is it cost? Is it like the travel restrictions? Is it like the visa process? All this stuff or whatever. So I'd be really interested to hear that.
I had a brilliant idea, Taylor. You know how prediction markets are kind of becoming a big thing, at least here in the U.S.?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We could do surveys and prediction markets. We can make a ton of money. We could say, like, let's
a ton of money.
Predict why people aren't going to .dev, and then we'll do the survey, and then we'll make a bunch of cash. It'd be great. What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? What could go wrong?
Because I was just going to say, I would bet it's probably more people just logistically can't do it because of the visa or cost.
Yeah. Well, it's expensive. There's a couple of people that I know even too that that was what they said was, gosh, it was the cost that they ran down. It would be like 10 grand for them to go for two people. That was just part of their agency or whatever. And so they're like, we just can't like really justify that cost. It's just, it's so significant. So, which was kind of interesting. There's actually this was one of those, like, there was an other category you could submit on or whatever, because I saw that there were a couple like random ones in here, and there was someone that did mention like Unite was better because they were localized events, which I thought was really interesting. And
Unite post 2019 was localized, but before that it wasn't.
Yeah. So like, I think that's interesting. Like people looking for more localized events, and there have been a lot more localized events. They haven't been hosted by Shopify specifically, but there's a lot of Shopify dev community partner events all over the place. So for those people that are throwing that out there, I'd encourage you to poke around for something in your area. It wasn't called out specifically, but like I just saw another one over in Portugal. They're doing the one in France. Matt is doing that one. And then there's been several over in the UK. So there's lots of these that are popping up. Just Shopify's not necessarily doing them or whatever. They're kind of focusing in on like this big one where we can get everybody together kind of type thing.
So, like you were saying, there's lots of good community events. Like our good friend Brian Gonzalez has one out there in Seattle, I think, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, no. Is it Seattle or is it Portland? I can't remember. I always think Seattle and Portland are the same, so I don't know.
Yeah.
That's probably super offensive because I think those people are like, whatever. They're probably right there, but it might be Portland. I think it's Portland.
Okay. Sorry. No,
somewhere
no
on the West Coast.
But if you're in Seattle, it'd be worth going to Portland to attend his event, because when we had him on, it's been almost a year probably.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded like they had a really cool thing going over there, and if you're in the area, definitely check that out. So.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's cool. I bet he throws an awesome event too. If I ever make it out that far that way, like I'm definitely got to make sure it revolves around a time that he's doing something or whatever. So, which they're doing good. They rolled out an app and stuff too. So they're doing awesome. Yeah. We'll see him at .dev as well.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. He'll be there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, back to the cost thing too. Like I know, just anecdotally, like even for me, I'm in Ohio, so not that far as the crow flies. But airfare would be about $1,000 at this point.
Yeah. Easy.
When you add in like Ubers and stuff, if you go that route, you add in a couple $100 there potentially, and then the housing, even Airbnb, finding a pretty modest place that would fit myself and my suitcase, it was almost $1,000 for the week, like to be there. That was kind of minimum.
No, I wish you would have got you on earlier. We could have all bunked up, man.
Yeah.
But we'll try to get you as far as Ubers. So Brendan Quigley, who's always a lot of fun to hang out with. That's what everybody needs to do. If you really want to experience .dev, you need to hang out with Brendan. But that's all we did was instead of Ubers, you can do those little bikes that you check out. Yeah. You can ride around everywhere. Loved that. I think that's so fun.
I'll do this too. I did that last year. I got a little nervous sometimes because I wasn't sure if I was allowed to ride the bike on the sidewalk, and there's certain parts of the journey I was on where I was like, I ain't riding the street with these people, polite or not. They could still run me over. So I didn't want to get...
Everybody's very nice. I was really surprised, like when we were riding around, and I will say, I guess I was always riding around with somebody who was like a Canadian native. It was always like Brendan or Trudy or something like that or whatever. So I wasn't as worried about it, necessarily. But my wife is the same way with, I was telling her about this, and I tried to get her to do this the last time. We went somewhere, I can't remember now. And she was like, no. And I thought that was crazy because she's always like, I'll go skydiving, I'll do all this other stuff, and I don't do anything with heights. I'm like, no thanks. But I was like, that doesn't bother me at all being on a bike. I'm on the ground, but you'll jump out of a plane? I don't know. So anyways, I'm digressing here. So as far as .dev, we're going to try to get some more information out. We're going to try to get, we will make an effort to get somebody on to talk more about .dev too. So
yes,
that's something's cooking there, hopefully.
I smell something.
And so we'll get more out about that. But it would be good if you're listening or you're on the socials and you want to @ Liquid Weekly and stuff like that. Tell us why you're not going.
Yeah,
love to hear more.
Well, that was another thing that came out of this for me too. Was I think we talked about this a little bit already, but how could we help serve this community for folks that just can't make it but want to stay connected to what's going on? I know we're kind of starting to brainstorm a little bit about are there things we could do to help folks feel like they're a part of it, and to not only hear about what's being talked about, which I'm sure there'll be plenty of people that help cover that, but also maybe experience part of it. So you've got some pretty sweet gear that you like to drag along to these things.
I told you I upgraded. I've got another camera now and some mics that we can use. So hopefully, if you're not able to experience .dev, we'll try to bring as much of it to you as we can.
Hey, we could live stream the whole thing.
Ooh, I don't know if that's going to be cool. we kind of have to get permission anytime we record anything around Shopify stuff. So I don't know
Yeah.
if they'd be cool with live streaming. I don't know that I don't have the
We
setup
could
for that
live
either,
stream
so.
eating lunch. I mean, I'm going to do a lot of eating. So.
You guys want that? If we get how many likes? What's the most liked video? This feels dangerous talking about this right now because I'm be like, oh, that's not actually a ton of likes on a single video.
There's not, so don't go there.
Okay, if we get okay, what do we need? Likes or views? What are we gonna track this?
Probably likes, I guess. That's how people send feedback.
Okay, if we get 30 likes.
Whoa.
30 likes.
That's like 300% of our listeners.
That's 30 likes. That's right. Get your friends. If you want to watch Karl eat lunch at .dev, we will live stream it if we get 30 likes on this video specifically. So there you go.
There you go. Well, I guess we know the outcome of that already.
Yeah.
But we'll figure something out because
we'll figure something out.
It is a cool opportunity.
Yes.
I know people's.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I know people struggle a lot with the FOMO, the fear of missing out. And some folks, it's because they are on the fence and can't decide, like myself. Other people, they legitimately cannot make it. And so if we can serve that section of the community, both of them, we'll figure out a way to do it.
We will. We will figure out a way to get you more of what you want. And speaking of
GoPro, that's what I need. Yeah, go ahead.
Who is what developers want more of is our next category. I was trying to segue. I was trying to do, what's the GoPro? What do you...
Oh, just the way around.
Oh, yeah.
I talk to people. Yeah.
So the camera I got is like a GoPro, but it's like the DJI brand. It's the same brand as the mics that I got or whatever. The camera works.
I mean, you get those
gonna
send
you a thing. I wanted to get those, but it's so back and forth on the quality of them not being great, and so then it's like they're not cheap either. It's like $300. So I just don't want to spend the money and be mad,
to get a Vision Pro and wear it the whole time.
You get what now? A Vision
I'll pay you $1 to get an Apple Vision Pro and just wear it the whole time. Yeah.
I've never used those, but some people say they're pretty cool and some people say they're absolute garbage. So I just don't. It's so weird how it swings so violently. And I'm not like an Apple like cult fanboy or whatever. They make some good stuff and there's a lot of stuff that's just so poorly designed. I don't know why Apple is what it is. And so I'm assuming I would be the latter of the one like, this is horrible. I don't know why you would put up with this. So
probably seems your style.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, you had a nice segue all keyed up talking about what developers want more of.
I did.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I thought it was this only surprised me a little bit. So AI being over half of respondents, that was not surprising. Everybody wants to know all the things AI. We're all like drained to some degree with all this AI hype, like coming from every single angle about how people are running overnight agents and running small like dev factories or whatever overnight. But like as far as like legitimate dev workflows that you can use in Shopify development, like I know people are always interested in them because there's this need and desire right now to like be super productive, good, bad, and indifferent. So the thing that surprised me was theme dev being as high as it was. I didn't expect theme dev to be as high as it was because I thought we talked about theme dev a lot already. and I figured it would be like an overwhelming amount of people being like, we want more app dev. But it really wasn't that much. So apps made the category, right? But it wasn't the switch that I thought it would be. I don't know if that surprised you at all.
I mean, somewhat. So like the breakdown for folks that can't see, if we end up putting anything on the screen, is it was 54% ranked AI as a topic they wanted more of. 50% theme dev apps was 46%. Again, this was multiple choice, so it's not going to add up to 100%. And then Shopify Plus was 39%, which is interesting. And then marketing and business was 33%, which we'll talk about that in a second. So I think it was interesting. So back to the
we'll talk about
dev
it in a second.
I did notice too that we had 3,000% say that Ruby was something they wanted to learn more about. So we'll definitely have to make sure that we address that in upcoming content.
We'll get that in here. That's definitely for sure. That has to happen. More Ruby.
Yeah. I mean, I think the theme dev is, well, you thought you expected more apps. I mean, it's pretty close. 50% theme dev, 46% apps. So it's really not probably statistically significant. but it still feels like theme dev is kind of the bread and butter of what most people do.
Well, so and I do want to, and I don't know, Carl. This might have had to do a little bit with the wording because I think that the wording or the choice topic was building and monetizing apps. So I don't know if we would have split those into different categories, if we would have seen that same sort of frequency of responses. So,
and I'll say I really agonized over the survey. And when you think about doing something like that, you're like, well, how hard could that be? I'll just ask a few questions. But I really think there's like entire schools of thought, probably entire schools around how to properly survey.
How questions are worded, the order in which the different responses are presented. Like there's entire sciences devoted to this, right? So, which in all fairness to everyone listening, Karl did send this to me ahead of time. So I'm not dogging him for saying like he shouldn't have done it this way because I had the chance to give feedback on this before it went out. So, but seeing the results now, I'm thinking like, I wonder if we would have seen, because theme development is just theme development, right? And apps. So I wonder if we would have had like building apps and then monetizing apps, if we would have had those in two different categories, but that's almost like the marketing stuff, maybe. I don't know. So anyways.
But again, then you run back into my earlier inhibition around like, I don't want to present my audience with a survey that's 300 questions long. Like no one's going to do that, right? So it's like, how do you have nuance but not overwhelm people? So
yeah, I get that. So I think it was cool to see, not cool to see. I mean, I don't know, interesting to see as well. Specifically, as many people saying Shopify Plus and B2B. I'm curious about that as far as, are people curious about like what functionality is and isn't available at Shopify Plus compared to, and B2B compared to like other plans, which has been further complicated by Shopify rolling out B2B like features in like lower plans now. That's really interesting too. I think, again, we could almost create brand new category, brand new surveys just on some of these, like drilling down into just the responses here, whatever. So that's really interesting.
I do want to call out in terms of the AI part. Certainly, people want more of that coverage, but I also want to say someone specifically mentioned that they appreciate that we have stayed grounded and not continue to like catch up with the AI hype, because I think we all feel that.
Yeah, that was really nice. Thank you. Yeah, whoever took the time to actually say that, thank you. That was really nice. I feel like we do take a pretty good and balanced approach, but maybe it's because we're both a tad skeptical of some of these things in some degree. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I use AI like every single day, all the time, or whatever kind of type thing or whatever. But I do think, yeah, you just see so much of it online that it is just, it's hard not to feel, I don't know, like super unproductive. You see these other people, like I said, like they're like, I'm running these things overnight, you know, all this other stuff or whatever. And I'm like, okay, like I'm still doing a Monday through Friday 9 to 5 situation. And I mean, it's me and Claude, like, you know, working our way through stuff, but I'm not giving him stuff to do overnight, or her. I don't, Claude's, is it Claude? Yeah,
Claudette.
You know,
I don't know.
Yeah. So anyways, so yeah, I'm glad that we're being presented maybe as being grounded. And so hopefully some of the stuff that we're surfacing is helpful, and maybe they haven't heard in other places as well, as far as like what is and isn't practical. So
yeah,
we'll see.
And it's tough, Taylor. You know, I think we even discussed this the other day with trying out a different thumbnail for the podcast screen. It's like, there's this line I feel, I don't know if other people feel this, but like, I want to be a savvy marketer, which again, we're not marketers. I'm not a marketer, but I don't want to immediately jump on the hype and hook train of trying to grab people's attention with cheap shots and techniques.
And we're kind of experimenting a little bit. We kind of like, you know, strayed that, and it has to feel good. You know, I agree. Like can't lean too heavy into that stuff.
But the AI stuff makes that hard, because there is some legitimately very good stuff out there to talk about, and that's helpful, but there's just so many opportunities to reach for it just to get people's interest. It doesn't have a lot of that gravitas behind it. So
yeah, well, what's that? Is the term like attention economy? Is that something to that degree or whatever? Of it's hard, and I think, I don't know. I feel like I'm having this conversation a lot with people too, of this idea or concept of like really good or marketing sales beating out good products, and that being very frustrating. You know, that happens in app dev, it happens in services, it happens in podcasts. Not to say like, I don't know, like I hope that people find this information good and high quality and helpful, So not to say maybe that we couldn't do better or whatever, but I do like to think that, yeah, we haven't bought into, we're not just trying to sell people snake oil or whatever kind of type thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's hard.
One last thing I wanted to touch on here before we
One last thing.
move down to the struggling with section is the business content finding. So
Mm-hmm.
I think we probably suspected this, but it was nice to see it validated that, a solid chunk of folks, at least 33%, want more information about marketing and business.
Mm-hmm.
People I think are afraid, or at least feeling like dev work is being commoditized to some extent, probably by AI, and that they're seeing client acquisition and positioning as a much more important and strategic thing to be focused on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something I think we'd love to address too. What do you think of that?
Yeah, and I think I'm trying to remember how this was framed, or just like super broad, right? Because like marketing and business content, because I think you're talking about like both, like either the product like with an app or with services, like if you're a freelancer or an agency or whatever, where you're selling builds or whatever kind of type thing. So that's another thing that I think would be really interesting to like drill down more into as far as the respondents. But I mean, so based on like the makeup of the people and those numbers, I would estimate that a lot of people are really interested in more so like almost for the service side, right? If most of the people who are responding are like freelancers and agencies, they're asking about like, how do you get clients, right?
Yeah.
So I think that part would be interesting, and we've had people come on and talk about that a little bit before, but maybe we can find some folks that are like really focused in and are very good at that kind of type thing.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we both have probably different strategies there, So, yeah, it'd be interesting to have people on just to talk a little bit about that. So because I'm not I come more from the side of maybe not organic, or maybe just like not paid. Like I don't do like advertising or, cold DMing and stuff like that. And that's not because it's a bad thing. It's just because it's not something that resonates with me.
So it's
And
safe to accept your LinkedIn request.
No, it's never safe to accept my LinkedIn request. So that's who I feel bad, because like I responded, like I said, I think we just talked about this. Like most people, I'll be like, oh yeah, like if they like reach out to connect and we've got a bunch of mutuals, I'll just say yes. But then I had someone who was like, hey, this is a mutual, and they were just like spamming me. Do you actually know this person? I was like, oh no, okay, I'll unconnect them as well, or unlink. If you're connected, I don't know. So that part is tough. So yeah, don't necessarily trust the mutuals there, right? Just trying to be helpful. So we'll try to find somebody that's really good with business people. I'm trying to think of other people that would be really good business people.
Yeah. So the last big pieces of the survey, and I thought this is very interesting, I want to make sure we save time for the changelog, is what people are struggling with.
Why do you want to save time for the changelog?
Out of respect for you, Taylor.
Is it respect for me, or was it because of specific highlights in the survey results?
Oh wow, I see where you're going. Nothing comes to mind. Was there something that stuck out to you in that regard? What was that call out? I can't remember. Was it someone said it, or was it on there
with the changelog?
Yeah,
you put it in the newsletter even.
I know.
I posted about it. I was like, yes, the changelog. Yeah. Anyways,
that actually is the very first thing we're talking about, is in terms of what people said they're struggling with. One of the biggest ones, and I think we all feel this, is the pace of change. That was one of the biggest themes, right? This was the accumulation of all the change too. It's not just one thing, but like the switch from Remix to React, from REST to GraphQL, from partners to Dev Dashboard. Like so much happens here. And this is where people like yourself really bring a lot of value to us, because you take the time to look at all, not just see the changelog, but kind of consider the implications for how we work.
Yeah. I'm glad that people are finding that stuff helpful, because I don't know, like some people, you get this too. Like people ask how like we like stay up with all of this, and I just tell people that we don't. It's not like we're all struggling to like, keep up. And again, I don't know if this is weirdly enough, previously being a social worker, like this, there were a lot of things that there's a lot of like parallels in this field or whatever. And it was kind of very much so the same. I had a boss at the time that was basically like, whoever's the authority on this subject is the one who's done it in the last 6 months, because, in that field, like, laws change state and federal level and all this other stuff. And it depends on who's in office and blah, 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 And so it's kind of the same here. It's like one of those, like, well, whoever's had to tackle this problem last is the authority on this, because it changes every so often, and you just don't know. So, I don't think the goal is always like necessarily keeping up. It's like being aware of what's going on, so that way you can pivot when you need to, right? But you shouldn't ever feel like you have to be on top of everything or know everything. It's impossible to do, and so you're just going to cause yourself a lot of anxiety trying to feel like you always have to be on top of everything.
Yeah. Especially when it's sort of like the general knowledge of what's happening across the ecosystem.
Mhm.
And then there's the deeper knowledge of how to action something in one of those particular areas of focus. For just as an example, the other week, one of the guys I was working with was talking about using Git with their theme development.
Mhm.
And they said, well, it works like this, right? And I was like, I actually don't know, because I don't do that on a day in and day out basis. And I looked into it once, and it's been at least a month. And so now it's probably changed, right? And so
Yep.
it's okay to know that it exists without understanding how it works in the moment, because it doesn't take long. Shopify Dev, the Dev Assistant on there, it's really quick to get the reference material you need and just kind of reacclimate to it. But
Mhm.
what I was developing in the early days, once you learned something, it was pretty static. And so you had confidence that you could just hold on to that understanding. But now I don't think it's as much.
No, yeah, it's everything moves as fast as it does, and that is, I think, like I said, I think that is um it's discouraging to some people, like I said, to feel like that way. So that's always, I don't know, that's my mental model, is don't feel like you have to be on top or keep up with everything.
Sure.
It's not possible. So
No. And I wonder too, this would be another good survey question, if it's different across age demographics and like social strata. So for example, as a young guy out of college, like, I loved digging into all the stuff and felt like I
Yeah.
mastered all of it. But when you start getting a little bit older, have family or other relationships, you just have less capacity and your mind
Mhm.
is not as open. So maybe that's part of it too. Just can't remember as much,
Well,
So,
I don't know. I don't know if it is that as much as it is like you get a little bit older too, and like you realize there's just a lot of stuff you don't know, and that's not, that doesn't bother you as much as, like, same. Like when I was earlier days, it's like I wanted to be the best at this and like know everything or whatever. It's just like, I just want to do good work. I don't have to be the best at all this stuff or whatever. I just need to, just be aware. So yeah,
yes.
the age demographics would be an interesting one to have checked off on that as well. See how that kind of like lined up.
Yeah. I think the whole thing we're getting out of this podcast is how bad I am at making surveys. But anyway, let's move on to our next big one, which was AI uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
So this
What do you want to say
one,
about it?
well, I don't know. I'm kind of uncertain. But people had a lot of questions around this in terms of not necessarily like our entire industry is dying and their jobs are going away, but more about how to calibrate the new tools with the work they do and how to work with clients, and make sure that there's value in what they're bringing without losing focus around all the hype.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's been my kind of positioning over and again after like seeing how good some of this stuff is, of like, oh no, like it's gonna take our jobs or whatever. And that's
Yeah.
happened every time anything big and major has hit the scene or whatever. They said the same thing about like Google search, right? When it first rolled out, they're like, well, everyone can
Did
know
they?
anything, So that's what they tell me. That's what I read
Okay.
in the old, archives of old there. So that was the suggestion, right? So those parallels are, I don't know, everyone's just becoming so much more productive. I think the biggest thing around this AI stuff right now is just fighting like that need to be productive 24/7. I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest, toughest part. So,
And the thing too that kind of saddens me about AI is I think we have both experienced how it can help us get certain types of work done more quickly,
mhm.
but that hasn't led to me working less and being more relaxed. It has only led to me having to
Yep.
attempt to do more work in the same amount of time.
Yeah, you have this feeling that you've got to be able to like, yeah, complete the output of like 5 developers that are working without AI, right? And so like
Yeah.
instead of winning that time back, you're just working. I'm going through that right now. I'm working way more than I ever have. And part of that's just because stuff didn't line up super well as far as like timing on some projects or whatever, and things, changing or whatever. And so, but yeah, it's not really creating that extra free time or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just, we're just trying to be more productive and work through more things. So I don't know if that's, some of that might be my fault, other people's fault too. Like if we're just, I don't know, it's kind of addicting to some degree to be like that productive and like build stuff, just like what's like really incredible speeds compared to what it used to be. And the good and the bad too about this AI shift, I don't know if other people have seen this, me personally or whatever, like in client work, like we've moved away from this whole, um, you know, don't ever let anything break, right? Nothing can break in production, to like, well, move fast and break things. It's fine if it breaks because you can fix it quick. Like, then it's just like, but then there's that expectation of like, I need to fix it quick when it breaks. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that part is hard. So
It feels a little bit like the prisoner's dilemma. Like if we could just all have decided as an industry, like, hey, let's get the same amount of more work done, but not work more.
yeah,
But as soon as one person disagrees with that and suddenly is uber productive, then we all feel like we have to compete, right? So it just became
yes,
what it is.
yeah, because it becomes a differentiator. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, until you figure out how to make that
Listen,
happen, then it's
guys,
just,
could we all just hit the brakes? But nope.
yeah, let's all collectively agree. let's, let's all just tell, sorry, Claude's down. We'll get it to it
That's
later. Let's all just.
The last big shift that came out of that in terms of what people are struggling with was, I've already touched on this a moment ago, the client acquisition, right? So not necessarily even because of AI, but again, I think a lot of it is framed around the fear of AI or the consequence even they're already seeing in terms of its impact. But how to find good clients, how to stand out, and how to price. And that's obviously, we talked about that a few times. Like it's tough when your work is accelerated by AI. Like how do you price that?
Yeah,
Lots of questions there.
This one kind of intrigued me or confused me a little bit. It might just be the kinds of clients that I work with, because at least at this point, like all the AI has done is like brought me more work, because at least for clients that discover it, like I can't tell you how many jobs I've had in the past year where it's like we discovered Claude Code and we got so far, or we discovered, ChatGPT can write code or whatever. We got this far and then everything broke and we can't fix it now. And, like, I can't tell you how many like jobs have started off that way. So I'm interested to hear that. And, again, people are, I think, worried about now that merchants can code a little bit, right? That they're not going to need developers, like, or they think that maybe they're not getting work because there are merchants that are just doing the code on them with themselves. But I don't know. Like, I think those merchants are usually more focused on getting other things done. Like they're looking at the marketing side of things. They're looking at it optimizing ads. They're looking at like how the SEO stuff, and like, I don't know, like as far as the code side of things, at least most merchants, like they dabble in that a little bit. They find when stuff breaks, they can't troubleshoot it, and then they just move back into like their area of specialty, right? So if we can all stay in our lanes, that's great. So,
Yeah.
but I think that's interesting. Did I understand that correctly too from the results, that was the feel, was maybe AI is the reason we're not finding jobs as easily? That's kind of the thought.
Yeah, I don't know if it came through as strongly as that, but more that people are afraid of it kind of drying up
Yeah.
the need as
Mm-hmm.
much. So,
Gotcha. Yeah.
which it's hard to argue with when you see what in the marketing, at least what Shopify shows that you can do with things like Sidekick and even Dev Assistant, like spin up whole apps, from a prompt. It's hard not to think that could come.
Well, yeah, but is the client willing to like sit through all the times it borks, and like,
Right, exactly.
it's always, I don't know, man. Like, yeah, it's just like anything else. Like, I think you can focus your time on clients that are also really focused on spending their time wisely. Like most of the folks that I work with, they don't want to sit there, go back and forth and try to center a div, with ChatGPT or whatever, right? Like they're they're gonna crank something out again for the things that they care about that matter the most. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Interesting.
Speaking of things to care about that matter the most, I think it might be time for us to switch over to the changelog.
Man, what a segue to the changelog. What a kind
Yeah.
and thoughtful segue.
I will just say
So,
real quick that I do want to once again thank everyone that participated in the survey. We really appreciate the
yes.
feedback. And if there are future ones, please participate again. And we will be making some changes. You may have even noticed some on this episode, how quickly we got into the topic, for example, at the beginning. So thank you for that feedback. We are thinking through ways to make those improvements. But now, Taylor, I hand it over to you to the second half of the show, the changelog, the most requested change of all.
The most. Well, and I will say to everybody, yes, also thank you for filling out the survey. And Karl does whatever he can to reel me back in. I'm the one that probably derails us more often than not. So hopefully we'll try to stay a little bit more on track here. But I think that there's also some benefit to being real people and not just letting an AI or something read off a bunch of notes or something. So,
Oh, could we do that?
Yeah. Have you not listened to any of those completely AI produced podcasts?
Yeah, no, I know.
It's kind of freaky. I don't care for that. That freaks me out. Anyways, so in the changelog, stuff that's happened since last, did you see, Karl? And everyone should be super excited about this, but probably the biggest thing in the changelog is that there's a new app submission experience in the partner dashboard. So the app submission process, long wait times, who knows, probably exacerbated by AI and submissions and all this other stuff or what have you kind of type thing. Shopify heard everybody. They talked about it in the partner town hall, and now they've come back and there is a new process. So in the partner dashboard, there's a whole bunch of stuff as well that you can start getting into there. Basically, there's like an AI self-review kind of type thing that helps kind of like do a bunch of pre-submission checks and all this other stuff. So definitely check that out if you have not yet, or if you've been stuck for a while in the app submission process. Kind of maybe I don't know if it's worth resubmitting or something. I know some people waited 5 weeks and then they resubmitted with this new process, and it got done in a couple of days or something or whatever. So definitely check that out. It seems like this has really helped smooth things out there. So pretty cool to see that happen. Another item in the changelog here, the storefront catalog MCP is now implementing the UCP. So UCP is Universal Commerce Protocol. We've talked about that a little bit. They talked about it a lot at that New York meetup that I went to as well.
Yeah. So.
And so that is a big thing. So they are actually improving the catalog now to make some things available, like search catalog, lookup catalog, get products specifically. There is an endpoint that the tools could be called against. What that means is that the previous search experience and lookup tools are being deprecated in favor of the new ones and endpoints. So be sure to be mindful of that if you are using that for any of your projects. Be sure to check that out. And now there is also another one. This is a big action required. If you're using the style sheet liquid tag, you need to pay attention to this, because there's now an automatic CSS subsetting for the style sheet tags. So Shopify is doing this to help improve storefront performance. And basically what this means is there's some themes, CSS classes that are self-contained in each file. So only the styles and HTML elements within that same file or its direct children rendered via a render tag. So no changes are needed. Your theme's compatible. But if there's files, for instance, that have CSS classes defined that are being used there, that's going to be problematic. So, go ahead and check that out. There is a doc in the changelog. We'll link that out. I don't know. If you're using the style sheet liquid tag, just give this a once over, just to see if you're impacted here. Another big one, action required as well. So there's the deprecation of checkout metafields and checkout and customer account UI extensions, which sounds terrible, but it is not. They are being deprecated in favor of the cart and order metafields. So previously we had this issue where, we've got these metafields, but they're not necessarily accessible in all the places we want them to be. And so Shopify rolled out cart metafields as an answer to that, and then made cart metafields copyable over to order metafields. And so this is what you're going to want to use now in order to do that, instead of the previous ones that we had here with checkout metafields. So be sure to start leveraging those, because they will be officially deprecated here in upcoming versions. Okay, another one that app devs are really happy about. I'm not sure if you saw this, but there have been updates to the app uninstall reasons. So before, when people are uninstalling an app, they've got this little drop down with a couple of, specific reasons or what have you. So Shopify has expanded that to a couple of different things here. So hopefully this will help as well with folks. I think originally too, there was one where it was like not satisfied with app features or customer support. It was like bundled together, and people were like, wait a second, those are two completely different things. And so the pushback on that was to kind of expand those into different reasons. And so now they are. So hopefully you're getting better data on uninstalls and stuff like that, as well as some better insights. Real quick, a couple of quick ones here, hopefully, just real fast. But there are now analytics metrics that targets for the GraphQL admin API. So basically, merchants can set different goals, analytics metrics, or something like that, and then you can track their progress. And so that's in the admin API now, which is kind of cool. That's been extended. That rolled out in the general changelog as well, where like merchants can actually start, running their own metrics through metafields and stuff. And so this now is something where you can also hook into those. So that way, if your app does something around metrics, you can hopefully bring in metrics that your merchants care about, because they're doing that. So pretty cool. Last but not least, multiple product discounts can now apply on a single cart line. So that's kind of cool. Sammy will be happy. Anything with discounts, I'm always thinking about those guys. But features can be available for merchants. And so as long as, again, like people have got to continue migrating off of scripts, I think this was rolled out to help make sure they met parity with scripts before now. So yeah, that's a changelog. Bam.
Oh, it's over already? It's over. Wow, that was so quick. I feel so refreshed. Thank you, Taylor. That was good to catch up on some of those. Lots of exciting things.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's now time for the third half of our show. My favorite half, picks of the week. Yeah.
We do need sound bites. I'm disappointed nobody mentioned sound bites at all.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
Nobody said in there what the show needed more of was sound bites. I'm disappointed, just in general.
I don't know if we had a field for sound bites. I'll have to go back and double check. Could be a survey error.
Could be a write-in,
So I'll go first this week, and I want to premise this with a disclaimer. I know oftentimes my picks are food related, and what I'm realizing is that we do this recording typically right up until lunch. So I'm hungry. So that could be a big part of it.
It's probably
yeah, probably. But my pick this week is, I don't know quite how to describe it because they have a lot of adjectives in their product description, but it's Rebel ice cream, and they describe themselves as a full fat, dairy, no sugar, no lactose, keto friendly creamery full of ice cream, milk, and without the negative impacts of sugar. It's very good. So I picked one of these up on a whim. Why are you laughing at me?
Well, I tried to Google this, and I'm assuming this is just my Google search results because I have kids. But did you say Rubble or did you say Rebel?
Like Rebel Alliance.
I typed in Rubble because I thought you said Rubble. And so I just got a bunch of Paw Patrol stuff popping up with, there's a character on there. It's a kid's show. And like the dog with a construction hat is eating ice cream. So, which is great, but that's not what I was looking for. Anyways,
I've tried 2 flavors so far. They're very delicious. Maybe a little too delicious. One serving's 2/3 of a cup, which I think is what's pretty standard. So it's, you could overdo it pretty quick. And they're not cheap, but I did a little experiment because I found that Amazon sells a couple of the flavors and will ship it for free. And they're $1 cheaper than what you pay for at Kroger. So I thought, I don't know, Amazon shipping ice cream seems like a bad call, but let's try it. So I did it, and I got a package at my door this morning. It had a little thing of ice cream in it, and I was expecting, I don't know, some dry ice or something. But no, it was in a little reflective bag, like a little insulated bag that they forgot to close. So I don't know if it did anything. It was pretty soft, but I put it in the freezer, and we'll hope for the best. So
yeah,
I'm not sure I'll do it again.
It'll be fine. If it is this Rebel ice cream, they have a Shopify website, so...
Well, that's another reason to love it.
It is, except for you're trying to send people to their Amazon, Come on, man.
No. Buy it from their Shopify site, please.
Buy from there. They
Pay them
do.
other
Yeah,
ship.
they've got a little Shopify. If it's the same Rebel ice cream here, are they located in Columbus, or this is like a bigger chain situation?
No, this is a big chain.
Okay, gotcha. Nice. Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
I think
here.
yeah.
I could go down to Kroger in Columbus and buy some. I've got the location thing up.
You don't have one in Ashland?
I don't think so. We don't have a Kroger in Ashland.
Oh.
I'm checking
Well,
to
I'm
see
sure
if
the
they
Amish
do
stock it.
sell. There's a Kroger over in Mansfield that says they carry it, so maybe I'll have to check this out. But they'll also ship to me. I don't know if a case of 8 pints is $52.
Yeah, 1 pint is like a solid $5 or $6, depending where you buy it from.
Yeah.
So it ain't cheap.
Yeah. I've got my creamy, man. I make my ice cream here at home. Look at that. You're dogging on me for that, and here you are buying ice cream at like $7 a pint, you know? I'll make you some keto ice cream for our road trip.
Yeah,
You'll just have to eat it fast.
.dev's gonna be rough. I'll have to make some concessions, I think. Anyway, Taylor, what's your pick?
Well, my pick, we talked about this a little bit, was I feel bad making it my pick, but because they've had a lot of issues very recently, but GitHub has been phenomenal in general, in theory, in the sense of I'm discovering a lot of things I just have really underutilized. Between like GitHub Actions and being able to set up like rules, PR templates, all this other stuff, which again, if you're working with like AI and stuff, is very helpful. Or if you're working in teams of people, having an actual development workflow lined out that people can follow and that, whatever their LLM of choice is following is really fantastic. But obviously they've had a lot of stability issues here lately. Whereas like I feel bad picking them but I mean most of my stuff's been fine. There was a whole issue where I couldn't find, oh gosh, they said there was some issue with search and I just couldn't get to any of my PRs. Like it was brutal. Like I was like, so that was super annoying for a day or whatever, but then it's been rock solid ever since. So we're doing, like I said, this other thing, and I'm sure there are other ways to do it, but in GitHub, and I'm not paying for GitHub, which is the other thing that's incredible either. So like I should probably at least be paying for this.
Not if the service is terrible.
Well, no, but like up until this point, it's been pretty darn good, right? People were dogging on it because like when Microsoft took them over, like that's when they started having stability issues or whatever, which I did not realize. So GitHub doesn't have a CEO, and that's a whole thing that people are
Not
very,
currently.
very mad about. So, that's interesting as well. So I don't know. So anyways, GitHub, huge fan in general. I love that there's an integration on Shopify and that you can set up a whole bunch of really good dev workflows that help make sure you're not stepping on other people's work and all this other stuff. So I know that they've had a rough patch lately, but I'm hoping by the time this drops that they'll have just been rock solid ever since. So I'm going to pick GitHub. People can at me if they're mad about that.
Yeah. Back to my whole prediction markets thing. If we did such a thing, I would definitely have a vote on this one. So
you would have a vote on this one,
or a bet on this one, yeah.
For what? For it not being
whether
good?
it's going to become good again or not.
Oh, listen, I had to get into another project not too long ago. Have you used what was it? Is it Bitbucket?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, like Atlassian owns it or what? Like brutal, horrible. Like for those of you that I did not realize how spoiled we are. So like I get that GitHub's having issues right now, but like good night, man. Like if I had to work in something like that, just brutal. So couldn't say enough bad things about that. So anyways, I'll literally turn down projects if they're like, we're on Bitbucket and you have to use them. I'll be like, nah, I'm not doing that.
It's just Git. Be cool.
Oof.
Yeah. Well, Taylor, I think we've done it. We've surveyed the survey, and you, our dear listeners, have also done it. You once again wasted another perfectly good hour you could have spent orchestrating AI agents listening to Liquid Wiki Podcast. Thanks so much for being here with me, Taylor. I know you're contractually obligated, but still, thank you. And for those of you that listened, thank you for your time, and hope you got something out of this. We'll see you on the next one. Happy hacking. You are contractually obligated, aren't you? We should fix that.
What?